Thank you, Session Chair Rahul, dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. I have the enviable task to stand between you and the lunch, so I'll be very quick. Some important points that I want to make is, with regard to, Secretary DP mentioned about the strategic sector, why defense was not opened as late as 2001. So it's just been 15 years that this segment has been opened up, because it was a strategic sector. Let's look at the two other strategic sector and how they performed. I'm talking about the nuclear and aerospace, where the DAE and the Department of Space, they focused on the basic know-how and development, and the industry was involved to design, engineer, and production of equipment and systems. Industry was treated as a valuable partner, and the project monitoring and control remained with the DAE and DOS. The result, the experience was, self-reliance was embedded into the policy of these two strategic sectors right from the beginning, and gaining the technology which are required for meeting the global benchmarks. The policies and the procedures were structured so that the industry plays an important role. This was enshrined right in the beginning by these two strategic sectors, which resulted into key technologies and capabilities were developed and built up in the industry. The user, R&D, and the industry moved in unison, and the nation could sustain development even under the global sanctions which were placed when the success of these two programs came public. The results is for all to know. Nuclear, India is considered today as a world-class design, engineering, and construction hub, with all the global majors chasing Indian companies for their capabilities. Indian companies today stand with their heads held high because of the policy that the Nuclear Power Corporation did. Likewise, in the space, some people mentioned, I think here mentioned about what we have been able to achieve. Aerospace also, India today is recognized as a global player. We are launching international satellites. We have set up world records in terms of number of satellites that can be launched. We went ahead of the United States in reaching the Mars, almost at the same time, even though we started 2 months late, and we did it in $75 million US, whereas the film Gravity at Hollywood itself costed more than 100 million. That is the kind of frugal capability we could build within the country. Why? Because industry was actively involved right from the beginning. My company has been a proud contributor to both these strategic sectors. Now I look at the defense. We had the twin approach. A lot has been talked about the DRDO and the DPSU's ordnance factory, so I will not spend time on that. There were strengths that was brought in, there were capabilities, and there were products that was brought in. What could not happen is the no whys. We could continue to be, and I think very rightly was brought out, that we could not look at creating products that we could proudly make the mark to ourselves. The no whys were missing. And that is where probably we can look at how that can be sorted out. Now look at the two armed forces. We have the Army and the Air Force, which followed the products that were made by ordnance factories and defense PSUs, and the Army-based workshops and the Air Force BRDs and the PSUs ensured that the life cycle support could be given for that. Navy followed a different model. It's not because I come from that service. It is a well-recognized fact that they created their own design houses right from the beginning, because there was a decision taken at the top that we will not be a buyer's Navy, but we will be a builder's Navy. And the ships and submarines were designed in-house by the two design offices, and the emphasis was that we would have indigenous equipment, ships, and submarines. A decade later, defense sector was opened up in 2001, and it became open for companies like Larsen & Toubro to participate. I'll give some of the examples of what contribution has the industry been able to make. Most of the IGMDP programs, there have been active involvement of the industry at large, including my company. Indigenous production programs for the naval various equipments like propulsion systems, steering gear, stabilizers, CPP shafting were indigenously designed and given. Most ships have the entire material propulsion suite coming from the Indian industry. The multi-barrel rocket launcher, our chairman here and L&T both are partners to this. Recently, 2 more regiments have been ordered, and the various weapon systems like TTL and weapon launchers, WM-80. Okay, then I will move fast. I want to come to key slides. Somebody mentioned about the R&D. I think Madam Gupta mentioned from Bell. Just a snapshot of what private sector is doing. More than 500 crore have been invested by a company in development programs itself. The 2 make programs which are there, the TCS and BMS, we have been short